just...
What was a Fallout thing? Maybe
There was a Fallout thing.
I don't know.
Hello, everybody! Welcome! It is time for Discussing Tabletop. I hope you're all having a very fine Saturday. What?
Are you streaming?
Yeah, just refresh. It popped up.
Oh, okay. That was weird. Yeah.
I guess I can, like, give you this thing here, Tantus. There you go.
Hmm?
There you go. Have a Prime sub.
Oh, hey, thank you. I'll take it.
Guess I can give you a Prime sub.
See, it's either Blaze... I think Blaze just uses their Prime sub constantly.
I, like, forget I have it. I'll be honest. Which Amazon
you have a real sub from me.
Amazon banks on you forgetting you have your Prime subscription subs.
Oh, they did. Well, no, because they make enough money without it.
It just doesn't notify me, so I just forget it exists.
They just set it up weirdly, you know? They set it up weirdly. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about, a bunch of topics. I don't know if we'll get to a deeper discussion topic. We'll find out. Why don't we just get started with all the talk? Well, I guess we can start with how did everybody's week go? Just a little bit of banter.
Alright week. Fallout Show dropped 2 days early and ruined my plans for when it was gonna come out. So it's like, well, fuck me, I guess.
I saw the solar eclipse, and it was
Nice.
very, very cool.
Yeah, I tried to see the solar eclipse. I got some...
It was cloudy, our beautiful state.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest, like, pictures don't do it justice. It's weird. It's like, everything about it just doesn't, like, your brain is so used to certain things, and it's like, looking at an eclipse, it's like, none of this should make sense. And it's so cool that it's like that.
It was very cool.
Did you see it? Did you see a full
I
eclipse, Momo?
saw the last eclipse in
Got it. Okay.
the 2017 one.
I had seen that one, too, so I can't say that I haven't seen one in my lifetime.
I've seen that, and I've seen multiple meteor showers.
I think I've seen one meteor shower, but I can't remember it very well, because it's been a very, very long time, unfortunately.
We had a bunch of them in our sky over here. With specific dates.
We have too much air pollution and light pollution.
I think there is a big one coming up in December that's gonna be like 100 meteors per hour.
I could theoretically see more, but it just, like, it's... I don't have to travel far to get better views. It's just, like, my area.
Yeah, I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I have plenty of clear sky.
Yeah, don't have as much of that. But, yeah, so it was an exciting week, and we do have a lot to news talk about. I guess we should start on that just to get everything done with, because there's a crap ton of it. Why don't we start with, hey, we got secret... This is something related to Fallout, which we were talking about in the pre-show, to a degree. It's a secret layer super drop, and some of them are Fallout.
Let me look at these. Let me look how good they are.
Well, there's also the Fallout magic stuff, too, was kind of also makes sense about this. It looks to be 3 Fallout, a artist, and then pictures of dioramas that are interesting, but also, I'm not sure.
I would not own the diorama cards. I'm gonna be real, they're kind of ugly. In my opinion, I don't like them.
I actually kind of agree.
I don't like them.
I also agree they are ugly. I think they're interesting.
They're unique.
Yeah, that
kind of what these dumb secret layers need to be unique.
Yeah. Aura Shard, I don't know how expensive it is. I know Aura Shard's a pretty good card. It used to be, at least, but I don't know about now. I can't tell you.
I do not know.
There are other people that can tell you if it's worth it price-wise. I think we're just going to talk about how interesting it is overall.
I'm going to look at the Fallout ones.
Let's see here. Well,
Vault Boy one's pretty cool. I like the Winter Orb is the little Vault Boy in the cryo chamber from 4.
yeah.
It's very funny. What else we got?
Point of Interest has a couple of, like, I don't know, because it doesn't have anything that screams I'm completely cheap in the lands.
I don't know.
So that's good.
Because the thing is, many of these lands, you can get basically the same land for cheaper if they're expensive, because a lot of these abilities just kind of exist on other cards.
Well, Reliquary Tower has always been a pretty expensive card. I got a bunch of them when they were cheaper
that
years
one's
ago.
good.
Reflecting Pool is okay. Bajuka Bog has a lot of good combos with it. I know it's a little bit more
Reliquary
expensive.
Tower is currently going for $3, I think. Yeah.
They printed it enough to drive it down. It went up for a little while, and I think during Commander's early...
Command Beacon is $10.
So, I mean, it's okay stuff. And then,
It's not bad. It probably... I mean, these look nice, to be fair. They've got the, Fallout Shelter-looking cards.
They did go for the Fallout Shelter look. That's definitely
Shout out
true.
to the fact that they have all these characters they could have picked, and then on Lightning Bolt they put Preston Garvey.
I mean, I think this is one of those things too that I've heard, you know, a bunch of other people talk about. It's a 7-card thing, and it's like the exact same price as everything else. They could just have extra cards sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the diorama one's only 4 cards, and so is the artist one.
There's no
ones are terrible.
There's no metric to. There's no structure to secret layers. That's, I think, my biggest problem with them.
Because we got what?
I mean,
3... Go ahead, Worm.
I was about to say, like, yeah, these the diabolical diorama ones almost look AI generated. It's so weird.
It's
how expensive these cards are. That one's very cheap.
Carador and Orashards might be.
Orashards is 20.
Yeah.
Let's check Carador.
Because Carador was
Carador
originally...
is $1.
Okay, they probably reprinted him since the original
check.
place.
Fiend Artisan is $9. So between Fiend Artisan and Orashard, you're getting roughly the value of non-foil.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, we've got a children's artist, art, an artist series for someone I guess does illustrations for Magic, a weird diorama thing, which is again an art thing, and then 3 Fallout ones. It's such a weird collection of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good to continue to be like, hey, if this is something that has cards you really want for a decent price, multiple ones, or if the art style you really love, like if you really love the Fallout stuff, hey, maybe this is for you. But again, I feel like it's getting harder and harder to say this stuff is for people a lot of times, you know?
There was one that I really liked that I actually considered buying, even though it was just lands, because I'm like, I really like the art.
That's the thing is, it's not bad to have subjective art, but value is important, plus also it just feels sometimes like they are just running out of ideas at a lot of times.
I will say, the Vault Boy one is super worth it, because Fear Resistance is $24, Winter Orb is $12, and Printed Sphere is $16. So you're getting a lot of value out of the Vault Boy one.
I know I've got the Grand Arbiter in one of my decks. I don't think he's that worth it.
I don't think I think he's he's only... He's $30.
He went up.
He went up, apparently.
Because I put it in my blue-white wizard deck because it worked well with the rest of it.
So the Vault Boy one is definitely worth it.
It's just the thing is...
You're basically getting double the value.
And you can probably find places for a lot of these cards, too. So, you know, keep that in mind. Anyway, keep a look at them. I've linked them. If you're interested in them, you know, the art is subjective to you. I'd say check the prices and then ask yourself, is this value enough for everything else that I can use it? Or would it be better just to buy the individual card? Because, like, I gotta be honest, yes, you get a lot of value out of the Vault Boy one. But if you're not selling off other stuff, and you only would need, like, the Sphere of Resistance, it might be better to buy the Sphere of Resistance.
Yeah, probably. Unless you really want a Vault Boy card.
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah. But again, like, the one that's the grand arbiter, because it is, like, the price of it, you could probably find a place for that, so that's, like, again, it's that argument. Think about it. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our Magic visit for today. We do have a Paizo visit for today. Everybody loves visiting Paizo. We know the schedule for Paizo Con because it is coming up in May, and they are giving a programming schedule and then specifically Twitch, Discord, and gaming schedules for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, again, it's an online convention, but I feel like Paizo does a pretty good job of actually running what I feel like an online convention should be a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool.
So, a lot of apparently showing off a bunch of stuff and board game things, and a lot of streams on various materials. So if you want to take a full look at everything that is going to be there, you know, go ahead. And it apparently does go with some organized games even to Monday the 27th. So
Looks
Yeah.
like day one we'll have a big thing on Starfinder 2nd Edition, which will be nice.
yes.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm curious how that's coming along.
Apparently they'll have a earlier announcement at the beginning of their streaming day, and at the end they will have a live play for 2 hours of it. So that'll be a good show off. So probably talk about everything they've got for it and then show it off. So
Yeah.
expect some cool stuff, especially if you are preparing for Starfinder 2E.
Yeah, and there's also a live play for Starfinder 2E.
Yep. Plenty of good stuff there. Have you ever wanted to go back in time to those really old, like even past AD&D age of role-playing games, but just, you know, don't feel like picking up apparently D&D 1?
Yeah, D&D 1 isn't that great. D&D 2E or AD&D or whatever it's called, I've heard is at least playable.
Well, apparently this is Sword and Wizardry. It's basically some optional stuff to build upon the Sword and Wizardry line, which is a retro clone of original AD&D that's been published in 2008. So we're getting some expansions and some more stuff on it. It's being updated. So we do have ways of visiting 1E and 2E basically in D&D in a way, because I think like Dungeon Crawl Classic is very AD&D, 2nd edition basically, and Sword and Wizardry is very 1E. But
Yeah.
again, more options and fixing it up is probably good.
No, I've heard AD&D is fine.
So
Sorry about that.
that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, AD&D is playable. Like the original D&D is just like literally cobbled together and like makes and is just super unbalanced and etc. I've heard people be like, if you're gonna play it, play 2E or play AD&D.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried both technically. I played the black box of 1E, which was a reprint during the AD&D era, and certainly it is very much more simpler than 2nd edition, but you can also feel the differences between it. Good news about this is also like if you wanted to go back to one of those old systems, a lot of material here is roughly compatible with OSR systems. Original D&D, AD&D, both 1 and 2E, and some other systems too. So it's information that not only could you use on its own, but you could use with from these books with other old school stuff. So that's kind of cool too.
Fun.
You know, it's a resource that if you wanted to pick up, you know, original D&D and, you know, add some stuff into it that wasn't there before, that no one's publishing for at this point in time, you're a couple steps on the way there. Probably needs a little bit of work, but hey, you know, a little work is better than a lot of work to adapt something to it. It's an interesting idea. So this one's funded I just wanted to kind of give it a shout out. It seemed interesting, and yeah. All right. So, let's do you now. I forgot that I got you in a different order, so I've got something else from Modifius, but we'll do this one because if you've ever played their Legends of Avalon campaign that they publish, which I think we've talked about the basic core before at an earlier time, which is very Celtic, Roman Britannia kind of stuff. Then there's that monster of a docket you threw up there. It is.
There you go.
Thank you. We're getting Legends of Avalon Against the Faerie Queen, which is a campaign book.
Ooh.
So yeah. So if you're ever interested in diving into this, it's Celtic, a little bit of British, Roman Britain, mythical time period, kind of like around that area. You definitely would need the Legends of Avalon core book to go along with it, but this book here is a 370-page hardcover campaign with more character options, and it is made to work with both Legends of Avalon, but it also can be easily adapted to 5e game systems too. Apparently, this is the way they're setting it up, which is a neat thing to do. So you don't have to just use this campaign with the actual adventure if you would prefer to just run it with 5e systems. I've really always liked that they dance around the fact that they just call it 5th edition game systems. I think we've talked about that, but
Yeah. True.
we're not going to mention, we're totally talking about D&D. So, yeah. I thought it was very neat that we're getting a big adventure for the campaign, and wanted to shout that out. Either of you want to add anything to talking about a Celtic adventure?
Modifius makes good things.
Yeah. They publish a lot of good things, too. They've got a lot of good partners, too, that put out some things. Okay, I don't want to sit around too long, but Chaos AM's giving us a new edition of I'm not sure how old this adventure is, but or this system is, but we're getting
RuneQuest.
RuneQuest Glorantha sourcebook. It's a new edition of the guide to Glorantha for, I guess,
Okay.
RuneQuest.
What is the most recent RuneQuest book? What
That
edition
is-
are they on?
Yes. Probably relatively new, I would say.
Let's see.
RuneQuest TTRPG.
It might actually still just be on the original. What? Because I don't see anything that says it's like 2E or anything.
Was
I mean, I know Call of
published in
Cthulhu is on
1978 by Chaosium, and I think it's the exact same Chaosium we have now. Yes, it is.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, it is.
In '84, it passed between a number of companies away from them, and they finally Chaosium got it back in 2016. So I'd assume that's when the 6th edition came out.
What 6th edition for?
RuneQuest.
Okay, so they're on 6 or 7.
Yeah. Okay, so they've finally released the full PDF of 6th edition on 2018. So
Okay.
I'm guessing
RuneQuest
that
6th edition. Got it.
yeah. So we're on 6th edition. 2018 is when they're out. I'm actually guessing that I don't know if we've actually seen this book since its original publishing.
Possibly.
You know, let's see. Of course, like RuneQuest inspired a lot of stuff for Elder Scrolls. If you ever want to look into that, it's a very old system, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mongoose had a hold of RuneQuest for a little bit.
Yeah, it seems as though there are a bunch of other groups had it for a while before it came back to Chaosium.
Yeah.
It kind of-
Avalon, it's Avalon, Mongoose, and then the design mechanism.
Yeah.
Oh, that means they're on 7th edition, yeah, because, well, they just call it... So that's the thing, is Now they're just calling it RuneQuest again. No edition. Because
6th edition was
6.
Yeah, so this is RuneQuest Role-Playing Glorantha, which is technically 7th edition. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Okay. They're just not calling it 7th edition. Okay. It's the 1st edition since they've got it back, though, which is probably why they're just like, RuneQuest.
Okay. It's sometimes hard to understand this history of TTRPG, especially one that's from 78. You know?
Yeah.
So this is a classic that certainly as the current role-playing in Glorantha slash whatever they call it now, you know, it's the 7th edition. It hasn't been out. It's been out for a good number of years now, so getting some more... I'm assuming, again, it's a reprint of something older, and, you know, we're getting more... And this is setting stuff, so...
Yeah,
know,
they're custom setting.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I was looking into like RuneQuest and stuff, and man, I forget how weird the system is. Like, because I've been looking at like Call of Cthulhu stuff, because I'm like, I actually really like their system for what they do for Call of Cthulhu. But then when you try and adapt it to like a fantasy and stuff, and like the way they have their size and other stats, and it's just all like, this is weird.
Hey,
it gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah. Look, you know, it's a classic RPG system. It's been updated a lot. It's one of those ones that, like, you have to remember it's a grandfather series, like good old D&D, you know, in there. So this might be a good chance to check it out, you know, with the current edition and this update on the world. So it might be a good time to check it out.
It's interesting though, because it's like, I didn't know RuneQuest had like a core world to it. It's kind of fun. But I also like their system, how it's like, I think, let's see, what else does this? I think Warhammer does this as well, where it's like you're more competing against yourself. So it's like you have a number and your skill, and then if you roll better than your skill, you succeed. So it's like your skill, and that's what I like, whether versus like D&D, where it's like, okay, there's a difficulty class that you have to roll against by adding your skill, whereas this is your skill is like, you know, 65 out of 100, and you have to roll a D100, and if you get below 65, you succeed. So the higher your skill, so it's a neat system. I think it works really well for horror, which is why I think Call of Cthulhu does it very well. For things like fantasy, I feel like it could lead to like, well, I guess it could lead to characters who are very competent in the areas that they are skilled, which I guess is fair. I actually think that could work. Never mind. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately and trying to like parse it out because I've been reading through some of the Chaosium stuff lately. So it's interesting to see that they've got a new thing coming.
Hey, they're revisiting their old classics more, and they're remembering their originals, and that's good. And you know, it's always a good thing.
Because they came out with a what is it? Basic role-playing system, which is a universal role-playing system. When did that come out? Like a few years ago? 1 or 2 years ago? Something like that,
yeah. So, Chaosium's been doing some good things. It's a classic company. You know, keep an eye on their stuff. I always shout them out there. We got some Kickstarters to shout out here. A bunch of Kickstarters today, technically. But we also have some news after the Kickstarters. So, I don't remember if we talked about the original release of this. It probably was, I'm assuming it was a Kickstarter, but it was the Roman TTRPG. But now they are getting 3 new expansions that will kind of change the way you can kind of play it. So, what's the books here?
Oh, never mind. Basic role-playing system is really old. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so it's 3 new source books.
Just wanted to correct myself.
Roma, Rise of Atlantis, and The Fall. So interestingly enough, I'm interested in like what they're doing with all these 3 different books, and how they are different from each other. I assume The Fall is probably like, you know, Fall of the Roman Empire. Rise of Atlantis might be like, you know, mythological stuff a little bit more. I cannot remember how much this is like a very serious / you know, mythological RPG system, because I'm fair. It does mention ancient monsters and mythical powers.
So Lex Arcana RPG is something that kind of is like old school, like mythology is real and grounded in stuff, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, it's probably very like Rome, Greek mythology, which has its fantastic things, but it always has like an air of realism to the entire thing. A monster is a monster. Is there like a weird reason for it? Maybe, I don't know. But you know, the gods have done something or something like that. But I guess it's interesting to see. We're getting these again. I'm trying to look up the difference between these three books, and there's a lot of things you can different levels of support. Here we go. I finally found the area with the new books. Thank you. Okay, I've this Kickstarter confuses me a little bit because it's both in English and Italian.
Yeah, they just say everything twice.
Can we just have a book? I know. Can we have a book, like a button that switches between them? I would like that, but that's probably
there's a limitation on Kickstarter that is not.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rome is dedicated to the city itself, Rome, and getting information about that, it seems. So that would be if you're centering your adventures around Rome proper. Rise of Atlantis is a campaign, and it's a series of new modules they call expeditions, which are special adventures outside the imperial border, which are more adventurous or action in their style. So, it's the idea of search for the last Atlantean colony. So, yes. And then we've got The Fall is a sandbox adventure, which is apparently, they're going to do a storyline around this entire thing, which is,
cool.
I guess around the fall of Big E Empire into Little E Empire. I can't remember, there's a differentiation between, the different eras of the Roman Empire, and there was some...
Technically, I mean, if you want to get specific, the Roman Empire existed for much longer because split in half.
That's true. So it could be around that time period where...
Eastern Roman Empire and Western Roman Empire.
Yeah, where it kind of, split or something like that. So... It seems like they're having an epic story that they're kind of going to be telling, and that book relates to that. So these are 3 books. It looks as though... You get the complete digital for $42. Actually, it's got more items than that. 2 more items. 3 books and main stuff. I'm just trying to I like how they say and 2 more on the levels, and it just is well, what's the 2 more? I'm sorry. A deck and map pack, it looks like. So you get a deck and map pack, 3 PDFs of the books for $42 US, and that is the base level. You can get printed ones for a little bit more, and so if you're interested in this, there's different levels for everything, and probably add-ons and stuff too. So.
Oh, okay. So I went to read up on Lex Arcana,
cool.
The setting itself.
Did we talk about it ever? I don't remember.
No, we didn't. Wait, Lex Arcana?
I think we have.
Well, just for a little synopsis. So apparently it's a alternate reality where Rome existed far longer, but there's also magic and stuff in the world. So the fall thing actually was kind of interesting if that's actually going to be the case, because it's Rome existed long past their actual fall in our timeline. So
an interesting, what kind of storyline they're doing for it. Well, it's funded, 5 days to go for that one, so keep an eye on it. Okay. I would love to dive deeper into some of these, but we have a lot more to talk about. So let's talk about Sorcerers, Adventures, Kings, and Economics, or S.A.K.E, a rule book. So this one's not funded yet. 33 days to go. It's just up. It's basically...
Did you just say S.A.K.E?
S.A.K.E, S.A.K.E. Sorcerers, Adventures, Kings, and Economics.
I know. I feel like it should be Well,
Sock.
Sake, because it's...
But that would imply a
Yeah, I don't know if it's...
Japanese
does it have...
connection.
Does it? Maybe not.
I mean, they
Maybe it is
do
S.A.K.E.
have a very...
The picture on the front is
style.
what made me think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be. Like, that's why I didn't want to go that way unless I, like... Because it looks very, like, time disconnected. But the image is just maybe it's supposed to be sake.
They have
Maybe
a lot
it's-
of, like, Japanese style things as I'm scrolling through this, so...
Yeah, so maybe it's supposed
But
to
I'm-
be
Mhm.
that way.
It seems like it's probably a little bit more like butcher Japanese origin stuff, but it's very Japanese in the way some of these are. Some of the images are.
And that's the thing, though, is it looks like it's not meant to be, like, a specific region or time period with a lot of the information they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I just, like, my brain, everything looks very Japanese to me, which is why I'm like, I feel like it's supposed to be sake, but
So this
maybe not.
is its own role-playing system. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It feels like, because the name, that it could be, like, a addition to something, but it's the idea of you're playing important rulers of some kind of thing. Ruler of domain, a merchant prince, a pirate lord. It's the idea of rising in power and influence in an area, and they have rules for trading, adventuring, building and maintaining a kingdom. It looks like their 4 main directions to play are a pirate, warlord, sorcerer, or priest. So there might be more, but that's the ones that they mention for their character options. They have a domain system, the economics and trade. There's a lot of interesting ideas here, and I would love to see how well they play out, is what I'm going to say about this, because these are complex ideas that haven't really been used very well in other systems. I think these are like the other week, last week when we talked about extra game mechanics. These are extra game mechanics in most other systems. You know.
These are the core game mechanics in this system.
So I'm interested how they've integrated into this with this entire thing.
Yeah.
It is a system with some magic, some early firearms too, and its own basic lore, it seems. So yep. It uses the standard.
Okay, they have like an interesting thing because I just want to say, which is kind of fun. I'm scrolling down a bit more, but yeah, they have like a hex crawl thing where it's a go from hex to hex. It's like, I think it's supposed to be like you're exploring like a region or something, so it's like you can explore a region.
Interestingly enough, it's technically more of a D20 system, but it's a D20 point buy system. So we
it
don't.
says it. Yeah, it's made with so the main rolls are D20, but it uses the standard 7 dice system.
You earn experience points, which you can use to purchase skill ranks, abilities, health points, and spells. It's a point buy system too, which point buy systems we don't normally see for something like a D20 system. So that's very interesting.
I don't know.
I guess like Mutants and Masterminds is a point buy system that's D20, but like
I mean,
yes.
technically, Pathfinder and D&D both have optional point buy rules.
Well, the point buy is for ability scores at the beginning of your game. These are your experience points you gain, you use to buy stuff, like in Shadowrun or World of Darkness.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that sort of experience system we don't see, because normally most D20 systems have a level system, even though they will technically have a point buy system to a degree too, along with that. Like even like I think Mutants and Masterminds, you still kind of level, I thought, but you also then like get points as you level to spend on stuff, so it's kind of like a little bit of both. And it's a superhero system too, so you have to have a lot of weird powers and stuff that you're purchasing. But like also like a point buy would be like a Besom game where you don't gain levels and stuff, but that's also like, again, it's a standard 7 dice set D20 system, so that's kind of interesting for it. Characters get an action and win action, so we do have some basic rules about it. There are attacks and parrying rules and things like that, and magic ranks and stuff. So, do they have the full rulebook? Would be 450 pages, and yeah. So again, this is a very interesting one. So like, whether you're sold on it. It's still got 33 days. Again, it hasn't hit its funding yet. It's very early on. I'd say this is the kind of one. It's interesting enough that maybe if you are interested, keep an eye on it. Throw your support if you want to. Remember, it's Kickstarter. If it doesn't fund, you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, it's maybe something to be interested in. I wanted to shout it out. Have you ever wanted to play an Elder God?
That was a segue.
I do that every Tuesday.
Well, now we have
isn't that called GMing?
Well, apparently now. Elder Mythos, the role-playing game, is you play the Lovecraftian entities vying to destroy or control the world.
Oh, that I do
that's
on
fun.
that I do on Sundays. Sorry.
So, I think this is an interesting one because, honestly speaking, I have not seen the direction of you play the cosmic horrors doing stuff to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. It's
It's a neat one.
Yeah, it's like to say, why be a cultist when you could be the Elder God?
yeah, but then someone draws an elder sign on something, and you're kind of just unable to do anything about it.
So yeah, it seems like I'll just leave that there. Through shared world building or choosing a scenario, you weave a conversation that will create a cosmic horror narrative. They do have 12 entities. They may have rules for creating your own, or maybe have more of them as they go to kind of start out with. At least they have, your sample R entities. It uses the year zero hack system hack. Okay, so year zero, that's like Mutant Year Zero system, I think, would be, right? The year zero system I've heard of before, though. And it's a dice pool of d6s. And yes, there's a scenario map which you play, do actions upon. Because I assume because you're a group of elder creatures, you kind of like are working on the large scale, so it's going to be like scenarios you're going to be kind of like influencing and stuff too. So yeah, interesting idea. And they do have rules for, like, if you're playing different cosmic entities, they in a same campaign where you might like have conflict between your two characters. Assume sometimes your purposes and goals might not overlap the way you would want them to, but they have stuff set in place for doing things around that, which is interesting. All right. This one is indeed funded. It turns out people have this idea. Oh, this seems really cool to be the, I'm Cthulhu trying to Cthulhu the world.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised if this one's funded.
This was not a surprising one. I wasn't originally going to talk about this one, but Worm, you were here, and you love a good Dagrin, so I decided the Field Guide to Floral Dragons. We're going to talk about that one. It's an elusive floral dragons, elusive creatures that are inspired by plants and stuff. Little flower dragons and stuff like that.
Oh.
I know. It's basically like a 200-page book about some strange, interesting creatures. Again, oh my god. This one's funded even more than the last one.
The people like dragons.
Dragons are the best.
They wanted 10,000. They're at 600,000. 18 days left.
People demand dragons.
I feel like... Wait. Who made this?
Hit Point Press.
Okay. Sorry, I just saw something that looked a lot like something I've seen on like a guy makes on Twitter, and I'm like, did he have a say in this? Work on this?
Could have been an artist involved in it, honestly.
Yeah.
Other artists that were involved.
That's fair, yeah. I should look into that. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my brain went, I feel like I've seen this before, this style before.
Ah.
I mean, literally my entire Twitter is just, all I ever do is retweet dragon pictures, so.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. PDF
I've seen a lot of Durgans.
for $19. They give an example of 4 dragons that are very planty. but it'll be a lot of images, information about it. You know, probably some rules for making your own floral dragon, so you can have a flower dragon. Okay, so it's Kinwald's illustrations. So Kinwald is the one that you knew online.
Maybe to be fair, it might have a different name than the one he goes by on Twitter, but
True.
so I'll have to look into it later. But I'm just like that dragon does look, specifically one of them. Not so if it's all made by one guy, then maybe not, but like one of the dragons looks very similar. So,
but I don't know what else to say about this one. It's a kind of adorable and weird and interesting, and if you like Dagrons, this is a way to do it. So.
Yep, Tantus just wants me to lose money.
You're welcome. I think
That's what it comes down to.
I think we've talked about this before. I think we brought it up, but I wanted to shout this out. I'm pretty sure we talked about this when it was first discussed. The Horror on the Orient Express board game is up on Kickstarter. I thought we saw when they announced it, and we talked about this before. I'm like 80% sure. It seems familiar, but it's basically Cthulhu or Border on the Orient Express. It's a board game, you know. So it is again another very funded Kickstarter with 5 days left.
Yeah. So yeah, this is by Chaosium. So probably what you saw. Yeah. Probably what you saw before was they have a what is it called? A module, a campaign thing, a campaign set guide. Campaign module for that's called Horror on the Orient Express.
Oh, we may have talked about their adventure previously.
Yes,
that is
so
true.
So that's probably what we've talked about in the past, and now this is a board game adaptation.
Neat.
Because I think that is one of their more popular ones, right? That I've seen. Like I said, I've been looking into Chaosium and like Call of Cthulhu lately, so.
I was sure I talked about something, but what exactly I talked about is sometimes like I try my best to remember things, you know.
Yeah, no, because I think you're right. I think we did talk about Horror on the Orient Express because I think they did like a remake for it for their 7th edition, which is what we talked about probably a year or two ago or something.
That makes sense then.
Yeah. But now this is a board game for it.
Yeah. And it's very fun. If you're interested, it's Chaosium. It's a good name. You're gonna get your board game. So.
Yep.
All right.
They make Call of Cthulhu the RPG, so it makes sense that they'll.
Miniature cards, tokens, train elements, a lot of other components. You could get a promo train mini if you kind of go along with it. That's really like pretty interesting looking. With some additional stuff for, I guess, add-ons and stuff like that. And yes. So if you're familiar with the adventure or the idea of it, it's, you know, it's Call of Cthulhu, but you know, it is basically
spooky times.
Yeah, it's Lovecraftian stuff, and you know, happening on the Orient Express, and your team of people trying to stop it. Pretty simple. Yes. All right, briefly away from Kickstarter for a minute. This is okay. You gave me that information, Momo, about the Fallout TV stuff. I was not able to find that on Modifius' site or anything.
It was on Amazon.
Okay. So I've got the Tabletop Gaming News link for it. I found this for it.
Post the quick Google I found, and so the page from Modifius must have gone up really recently.
Oh. Yeah, I might have just. It also might have not been in an area I looked if they didn't like.
Yeah, I think this page is new.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get the Fallout TV show characters as miniatures. I think all 3 of the main characters are pretty cool.
Cool.
I especially like the Ghoul Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's very neat.
Honestly speaking, you know, I saw a non-spoiler review about it that made me interested in it very much so, and I just have to sit down and watch it at some point.
First 2 episodes, pretty good. Haven't seen past that because I'm very slow watching TV.
Mm-hmm. The comment was if they stayed up where it was and they didn't go downhill, it would have been a good spot. Anyway,
I've heard it stays about on par with the first episode, so.
I find it interesting. I find it interesting that like Fallout has gotten so much like lore love, but Oblivion gets none.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls kind of got shafted a little bit, but I think Fallout is aesthetically more interesting than generic fantasy number
It
6.
is very generic fantasy. I will agree with that.
There's some interesting ideas within the
There are cool stuff in the Elder Scrolls universe, but a lot of it is also stems from, hey, we were originally just a D&D setting.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also just like, I mean, pretty much the background of the Elder Scrolls universe is elves were cool, and then humans came and ruined everything.
Yeah. With Fallout, you can a little more relatable. It's like it's Earth, but slightly different.
Yeah.
It's Earth with an alternate timeline.
Earth, but the 50s never stopped.
Yeah. And then an apocalypse happened, and
And the nukes still.
And it's interesting to see like afterwards.
And everything got wacky.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree that Fallout's cool. It's just kind of making me realize, like, man, Elder Scrolls has gotten like no love in terms of like outside content. Outside
Yeah,
of
I
video
think
games.
it's also just like people are a little burned out on it because Skyrim released like 15 times.
Yeah, but it's also just like there's so much more interesting lore than just Skyrim, and they really touch on none of it.
I want to say it was a. This is a slight side tangent. We can move on. It was a huge Fallout show. Was a huge gamble on Amazon's part because the day it came out, Amazon was like, also, by the way, here's this massive merch line we have, including food and drink products. And they're really banking on the show being successful.
That's the thing, is like when their Lord of the Rings thing didn't go well.
Yeah,
it
the
was
Lord of the
very
Rings one in
expensive.
Little Time were not well received. They're like, maybe Fallout would work, and it did this time.
Yeah. I'm glad it did, and they probably had the right people in charge of it. That's
I
the
think
thing.
they just like straight up. Well, they had the Westworld writers.
I can see them doing a good job of like
And then
understanding that kind of thing.
They like were hand in hand with Bethesda's writers and being like very back and forth with each other.
I think it's one of those things is that when you tell me it's like the Westwood writers with the Bethesda writers, I'm like, okay, the Bethesda writers did do job, but the Westworld writers I feel like would adapt it very well because they are good at mixing like that sci-fi plus Western aesthetic, which I'm pretty sure is kind of the Fallout feel.
It is on the West Coast. It is very much a Western but nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, like, even when we get into things like the East Coast, yes, it doesn't have that same kind of feel, but there's a lot of that essence of what a kind of Western is. If you're the wandering person coming in a lawless kind of area dealing with bandits and stuff on the outside world, there's a lot of that traditional kind of idealism in a Western boiled down in a very different way, but you can say, like, it's got a lot of that essence in there, too. But anyway, we should move on. We got a couple more topics to go. It was a very topic-rich week here, and how have you ever wanted to talk about monkeys getting their damn dirty paws off of you, or whatever? God damn it, I can't remember. Fucking damn you! Quote from the first one, Planet of the Apes.
I was gonna make a joke about The Simpsons, Planet of the Apes, the musical.
That Dr. Zaius. Ooh, Dr. Zaius.
I mean, I like Planet of the Apes because Planet of the Apes is very goofy. I don't know if I would play a role-playing game about it.
It's the original too. They're basically
that's like the weirder one.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Earth basically.
Well, even the newer one is technically Earth. It's like
the newer one is like a more serious toned franchise, and then the original movies are like, it's just very silly.
And we don't talk about the one in the middle because it was somewhere in between the two of them and it didn't work.
I didn't.
Like, this one is very silly. It does have a level of silliness to it, definitely, and it gets kind of weird. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
It does give you rules for playing any of the three main ape types, or a tribal human, or even a mutant survivor, or something like that. So they have different rules for different things. There's a lot to it. I mean, it's because there was like, I think they said 5 original movies I saw there was. God, that's a lot. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. It's something that we haven't seen. It is a setting that is one that was very popular for a time. You know, it is one that we've got newer, more different adaptations of now. So I can't really say. Like,
honestly, the reboot franchise is pretty good. Seen all.
You think?
They're very good. Like the reboot.
Sorry,
the 3 reboot movies are really good.
That's
Aren't they coming out
fair.
with a
My
newer
brain
one,
gets
too?
caught up on the horrible science butchering they do.
Well, I mean, yes.
I mean, that was there in the originals.
Was it though?
Yeah, there was a lot of implied this is not really how science works.
Because, like, the premise of, if I'm not mistaken, the first one is that the child gets mutated DNA from the parent who was experimented on after they were born, which is a big, weird leap.
We're talking about the newer one or the older ones. I don't know.
I assume the first reboot movie, which is centered around the cure for Alzheimer's.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even remember as much about that, so I would have to look up what the exact implication was supposed to be and what they like. That also could be like they meant to say something and didn't imply it in the right way, because that happens a lot in movies.
Yeah, it's like, that's all I can think of every time I think of those movies, which is why I'm like, yeah, maybe they're good. My brain only connects to that part where I'm just like, that is such a big, what? That doesn't make sense. That's all I can think about every time I think of them. I only saw the first one though. I never saw the other two.
The other two are really good.
They've got a core rule book and then a source book that will be information based on apparently all the classic films. There was a TV series.
There was a TV
animated
series,
episodes and the novelizations. Oh my god! I forgot there was.
Planet of the Apes is a giant franchise.
I forgot there was all this classic stuff from the franchise. There was a lot.
It was
I knew there
at
was
one point in time very popular.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, especially the like drop at the end of the first one probably like blew everyone away at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
there was one of those 5 movies that I knew they time traveled or some kind of weird shit like that, back to like where apes ended up in like normal world of the people where like Charleston Heston came from or something, and it was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Is that not the first reboot from 2001 that has time travel?
That also has time travel. That entire plot line is time travels.
The Mark Wahlberg one?
Yeah, that's the entire plot is time travels what caused the destruction, which led to this entire thing. That's that one storyline, is that, like, you know, they fucked around with something and activated, like, time travel while experimenting in space, and that destroyed Earth or something. I don't know. I think I again, that's one of those ones that they try to explain something and it's stupidly complex, and I just don't know.
I'm gonna have to go and watch Planet of the Apes somewhere.
Which one?
I think a lot of the originals are public domain, or at least the first one might be public domain.
Oh, it might not be yet. Planet of the Apes.
I don't know.
1968 film. 68 might not be there yet.
I know you could probably see them on, I assume, maybe Disney Plus, because they're owned by Disney.
Yeah.
Or on Hulu, which is where they put all the adult stuff.
Oh, hey, they gave the full series. It was Planet of the Apes, then Beneath the Planet of the Apes, then Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, then Battle from the Planet of the Apes. Then there was the 2001 remake.
And 2001 remake.
Oh, and we're getting the 4th movie in the new series.
Is a prequel to the first movie.
Okay. Wait,
more or less.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So
it has a lot of the characters that are in the first movie. Yeah.
No, the new one that they're coming out this year is set 300 years after war.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then it would loop around to the
back to the original Planet of the Apes. Oh, I get it now what you're saying. Yeah.
Because I think there are a couple of characters in the cast list from Kingdom that are in the very first movie.
All right. Interesting.
At least that's what I remember. They're probably just gonna reboot the entire franchise though into another trilogy.
Yeah, something that would be probably more akin to the original series,
More
but
modern. Because the old movies are hard to watch.
basically a modern reboot of what the original
Yeah.
movies would be, but like set that kind of idea about it. That wouldn't be bad. If we circle around to that point in time and we kind of get into like that kind of storyline at that point in time, I don't know. I think you'd have to change a lot of stuff for it, but still, anyway. Planet Day stuff, though. Hey, so I'm going to be linking a bunch of stuff from Dice Breakers because they talked about a bunch of interesting things. This one, I could only find like some sitting pages for stuff, but the book series Black Company is getting a TTRPG, and apparently had gotten one 20 years ago, at least, which I have never heard about. But
Well,
yeah,
I've never heard of Black Company, so actually I might have heard of it once.
it was Glenn Cook's 1980s dark fantasy novel series.
Okay.
So, I guess it has enough of a
Following?
following.
It's a very popular book series.
I think it is, yeah. That's why I think I've heard of it, but I've just never been interested.
It's about a mercenary company. Well, I guess it's converting the Saga, which was a mercenary company fighting in the trenches of a massive war between relatively good and evil. So you're going to be disillusioned, pragmatic soldiers fighting not for the cause, but to keep you and your fellow soldiers alive for tomorrow. So that's an interesting point to go for big epic fantasy. You're the little guys in like an endless war that, like, you know, just have been fucked over.
My thought is, like, is there magic? Are you like in the trenches versus wizards who shoot, like, you know?
It's a dark fantasy game, so I'm guessing it's like, yeah, horrible dark magic, that would be like, it's basically goddamn fantasy World War One, where they're like using like horrible things on people. Yeah. Bringing down the lightning! Ah! I don't know.
No, another mana storm is coming. They've summoned it.
We're joking about it, but it's probably really depressing and terrible, but because it's dark fantasy, you know. But
yeah,
it's probably going to be really fucked up, and a lot of terrible things are going to happen, and they're going to probably give at least a base detail on it, so you'll know how hard.
And that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm. They do have a link to the playtest of the core book, which isn't out yet, but it apparently in a Google Docs you can sign up for it. Oh, there's another thing about fucking link within a link. They just have a weird. Here's the thing for the company site. That's a link within a link about their stuff. It's just saying stuff. Give me a second here. I'm muting us.
Okay, I think I have heard of the Black Company before.
I think I read the first book.
I've seen the picture on the book.
Yeah, I read the first book.
Yeah.
I read the others.
Yeah. Because the picture of the book with the guy stabbing the like pentagram is very familiar. Very familiar.
Black Company sounds like something I heard about, but like I've never really seen about it. It was like something that someone talked about or something. So it's interesting enough to talk about. But there you go. Anyway, so I got a couple interesting stories that were up on Dice Breakers that I felt like were tabletop related enough for us to talk about. How about Scrabble? Let's talk about Scrabble.
All right.
Scrabble, the TTRPG.
Yeah.
No. We're getting co-op Scrabble. Which is something apparently that's never been done or never been like fully properly published.
Yeah, that's cool. I suppose you're
I think there are co-op rules for the original Scrabble.
There are co-op rules.
Yeah.
I think.
But apparently this is, you know, a newer version made much more for that idea. So the boards will contain spaces that correspond to a set of goal cards the players can use to inject more direction and guidance into their games. Perform more challenges for players, including playing a word containing two of the same consonants or playing a word that contains at least two different vowels. And if you complete 20 challenges, you're the winner. So it's a lot less about point scoring, and I guess working together will be
to complete challenges.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Why not?
it's you're still putting words on a board in order to like do things, but like yeah. I don't know. It seems like an interesting concept. Co-op Scrabble. Maybe people will like it a lot.
I feel like I'd be good at Scrabble nowadays, but I also feel like I'd probably still be bad at it because I'm horribly unlucky when it comes. I always remembered I always get like 10 consonants, and I'd be like, thanks.
I'm awful at that game, so you have to be able to speak English properly.
I have a big vocabulary. I don't use it, but I have it.
Turns out that it's not only USAopoly that can torment us with Monopoly, so can Hollywood. And with that...
We're getting a Monopoly movie.
Oh, they're working on it.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like very confused. Why?
Oh, courtesy of Barbie, and okay, it's because, yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah, so apparently when Barbie became super popular, people started working on things like a Monopoly movie and like a Thomas the Train movie and stuff like that all started to get talked about and in the works.
Mm-hmm. So
it's because a bunch of rich old dudes saw a child's doll become a successful movie and were all like, that makes money? Let's do that too.
So I feel like this is like we're getting this announcement because we've already heard about it, but there's like a couple. We've taken a couple of steps down the road. Again, we're not quite at we're filming a movie, it's going to come out levels yet. We're kind of at that. We've taken a few steps, and we're hearing more about what's going on it, and we might still see a Monopoly movie. Which I just will it be?
I love this. I love the starting sentence. Everyone's least favorite family night board game has been targeted for a film adaptation.
It's a terrible game, but it's also designed to be a terrible game.
It's a really bad game. Oh.
I mean, it's literally, it's like, in a way, it's to teach you how the rich become richer and the poor become poorer.
I guess
it's an educational game.
I guess if they go direction of something like a more comedy, like they did with like Barbie and stuff, then it might work, And they don't take it seriously. That's the only thing I can say.
I just don't know, like, Barbie has like a universe to it. Like, Barbie has always had like comics and cartoons and blah. Wait, what?
Barbie does have a universe.
Yeah, but Monopoly has always just been a board game. It's been adapted into every other universe, but it doesn't have one of its own.
Cough, 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 cough. Hey, how about that 2012's Battleship movie? Cough, 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 cough.
That is a movie that exists.
True.
That is the proper way to describe
bad.
it. It was very, very bad. But it was a Battleship movie they made. So, I don't know about this.
If they got really creative, I could see something interesting. Like, they went almost like a Jumanji route or something.
Again, I think you can't go serious like Battleship tried to do, kind of like an action movie. Like, you gotta go, like, if you go comedy, maybe, I don't know.
I'm torn because I like Margaret Robbie a lot. However, I will probably never watch a Monopoly movie.
Yeah, that's the thing, too, is like...
That's aimed for me.
Like, at very least, like, when you hear, like, there was an audience to start out with the Barbie movie, and then when people talked about it, it made it more interesting for other people to kind of go see it, So that's why I assume, like, it had as much popularity, and there was a weird... There was weird shit going on with that entire
the Barbie
release.
movie was just a very weird and fun film that had Ryan Gosling playing a dumbass.
Yep. So, like...
He's enough of those, so it's fine.
If you like recreate some of that magic,
I don't
it's still
think
Monopoly.
I don't think you can recreate what people felt for Barbie, which is already a nostalgic property in a very different way.
Again,
the nostalgia people have towards Monopoly is generally negative.
My nostalgia is I never want to fucking play Monopoly.
The sentence at the beginning of this article, everybody's least favorite family game night, basically says it all.
I know one person. There will be one person excited to watch this movie, and it's Chill Chaos, alright?
he does like Monopoly because he wins at it.
I
A
mean,
lot.
I see. My big problem with Monopoly isn't that I actually think it's kind of an interesting board game in and of itself. It's very unfair and it's very like it swings or wildly, and snowballs a lot. But in general, the biggest downside for me is how freaking long it takes to play.
Yeah, no, it's the length of Monopoly upsets me greatly because I could play a much more fun board game that is just as long.
Yep. So that's my biggest turnoff of it. Is all like, do I want to play like 3 hours to find out I'm losing halfway through and have no way besides just forfeiting to stop it sooner?
So this is something that was announced years ago for our next topic. We'll kind of transition to this. It's another entertainment, but we're now going to Netflix because we have a trailer for something releasing this year. Apparently, it's a Jumanji-esque film adaptation of the social deduction game Werewolf of Miller's Hollow. Have you ever... I've played the Werewolf of Miller's Hollow game.
I'm looking up the game.
It's basically a social deduction game where, you know...
Yes, I have.
It's Town of Salem.
It's Werewolf.
It's Werewolf.
You want to get actually more specific.
Yeah, it's just Werewolf / Town of Salem. It's, you know, there are some people killing people in town. You have to figure it out with social deduction and stuff. People have abilities and stuff that they can kind of use. There's so... Like, there's a... Normally,
I think I've actually played this.
Yeah. I played... Okay, here's where I really played it. I played it at Otakon, where I was with Blaze, and he had bought, like, fox ears. And someone pointed out, that's the werewolf in our first time playing. And it was true, and it was hilarious, because he had those, like, animal ears on at the time that he had bought. But I remember randomly joining a group of people playing it, because you need a crap ton of people to play this one properly. It's a large group game, if you're playing proper Werewolf. But it is Werewolf, yes. But there's a 1.5 minute long trailer that's out now. So it's actually coming out this year.
Oh, French.
Yeah.
What do you mean French?
It's a French TV show.
Oh, okay.
I guess that makes sense. I think it's a French game.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. In October, we're getting it out there too. But yeah, I don't know.
I'll look up what this director has made, which is definitely going to just take me to a French Wikipedia page that I need to translate, because I have seen an uncomfortable amount of French movies.
It's supposed to be PG storyline too, which for this kind of game, it's a social deduction game. You can kind of pull it off with like not showing anything and implying things, you know. I mean, that's fine. Like, oh, they were killed last night by the werewolf. You don't see anything; you just hear about it.
I've not seen anything that this director has made, so I have no opinions.
And an idea of a bunch of like a family going into like basically the werewolf game world and having to deal with the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it does make sense that it's a French thing, because I'm like, loup-garou, why do they have the loup-garou when it's lots of like a French version of werewolf?
Loup-garou. He's very... I'm going to stop now, because my French accent's bad.
Please stop.
I stopped myself before I continued. I was going to do it, and then I'm like, no, my French accent's bad. I can recognize that. I have a terrible French accent, and shouldn't try it more than I should.
Well... I mean, we'll see what comes of it, I guess.
That might be good. It's not a Netflix original, so it's got a 50-50 shot at being good, other than just a 100% shot at being bad.
Oh God, it's a interesting thing that we're seeing coming.
I mean, that depends. If the Netflix adaptation goes to a second season, then it usually is a 50-50.
Yeah, it usually gets canceled. If it's good, anyways. So.
Oh yeah, no, and. That's true. I think Netflix originals have a 25% chance of being good, and if they are good, they're canceled. If they're bad, then they get a second season, which then has a 25% chance of also being good. And if then it's good, then it gets canceled.
Yeah, they can't keep anything good.
So here was an interesting thing, and our last of the Dice Breakers roundup for today. Dimension 20 is coming to Madison Square Garden.
I saw this, and I saw that Ticketmaster overseeing the tickets are overpricing them so much.
Ticketmaster is awful, but you have to deal with it because they have a
horrific.
monopoly on it.
Yeah, they're actually, I believe, currently being sued for price gouging.
Because they do all the time and overcharge for everything.
Yes, they do.
Again, Ticketmaster is awful. They are a monopoly. Keep that in mind. No one else sells tickets.
I've never personally understood the desire to watch a tabletop RPG game in person at like a stadium.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
I don't really understood that one.
I could understand like at a convention.
Yeah,
honestly.
A convention, going to a live show might be nice or something. I think those are fine. Like, I've been to them once or twice. They're okay. Like,
yeah.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about it. Having sat in at places at PAX, one of the various PAXs, and seeing shows, I've thought to myself afterwards, you know, I would much prefer just to watch this on Twitch or on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends, because, like, I feel like the ones which probably do better would probably be ones that do audio podcasts.
That's true.
Because those are the ones which know how to... Because the problem with, like, ones in, like, a convention or a stadium or whatever is... I mean, unless they have, like, a camera on the thing, and then, like, a big screen, which they probably would.
I know the Critical Role ones have cameras pointed at all of the dice trays so they can swap and look at them.
Yeah.
On the big screen behind. I know that at least the Critical Role ones have that.
Yeah, but anyway, I think, like, ones where it's, like, you're used to an audio podcast would be better, because then you, like, know, it's like, okay, I'm not seeing anything. They also they know how to describe things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can describe their own, like, instead of, like, having, like, a map, which you have to be looking at a screen to see, the audio podcast people are like, oh, you know, you see this, and it's like, and then when they're, like, waving their hands, it's like, oh, and I'm, waving him over by doing the come over motion or something. You know, like, they're better at saying stuff like that.
I will say, if you've never seen Brennan Lee Mulligan DM a game, it is truly impressive.
I need to watch more Dimension 20 stuff.
It genuinely is impressive how much of, like, a showman he is.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, there are a lot of good ones.
I mean, like, at least at this point,
he's a good one.
They're in a big place. They'll probably put on a show about the entire thing, you know? And the thing is, I think that's what you get from the live play. You get a show. It's just the thing that, like, the difference between what they might put on here and what you get at a convention, I don't know how different it will be. I would hope that they would go over the top with stuff.
A lot more production value.
Yeah.
And especially because they booked this fucking Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. You see, that's the thing is, like, I'm like, what kind of production value are we going to see?
I guess this is a testament to how popular D&D has become to normal people.
I will say, Dimension 20 does put a lot into visuals. Like, if you ever, like, watch Dimension 20, they put a lot of effort into their visuals. They paint their own little minis. So, like, they know how to put on a show, which is good.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're gonna watch one D&D live show, I do recommend it be Dimension 20. Like, if that's the one you're gonna watch, and none others, I think Dimension 20 is the best one for that.
If you can't watch it, they will be released on a Dropout subscription service, it looks like, afterwards. It will be recorded.
Pretty good value.
Yep. And the
show a lot of fun shows.
The show is scheduled for next year, January 24th. So, and tickets are up now, technically. Yep. General sale went live yesterday. It's such an interesting thing to see. Like, I mean, yeah, as we talk about it, like, this is, like, a weird level that I wouldn't think about for, like, tabletop stuff, and, like, someone's going to do a D&D show in Madison Square Garden.
So the cheapest tickets are $600.
That
is the cheapest tickets on Ticketmaster.
What the shit is that? That is so
and they are
expensive.
they're up to over 1,000. for the front row seats
Oh, I forgot
because it is Ticketmaster.
I just. This is why I can't go through tickets. This is why I don't go to shows and stuff like this a lot of these times.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so,
not
Ticketmaster is
worth it.
horrendous.
These are so horrendous of a price. Oh my god. Well, I got two more
And the
topics.
price is, yeah.
I'm gonna move on because it's just gonna make me
Move
feel
on.
awful. I got two more topics. These are two that you brought us, Momo.
I did bring two things.
We have the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the board game
Yeah,
material.
I learned this
Hunter.
thing like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I'm not a Final Fantasy VII person. I know you've played it.
I played the
It's the
original.
original,
Oh, hey.
but it is a board game, so I figured we should talk about it.
Foggy showed up. Hi, Foggy.
I know nothing about Final Fantasy VII other than the big spoiler and Cloud's kind of a douchebag.
Final Fantasy VII was, I felt like a good Final Fantasy game, but I gotta be honest, it's like very middle of the road for me if I like rank all the Final Fantasies. You know, I gotta be honest about it. Like I liked it, but a lot of what it was bringing Final Fantasies to the 3D world that made it as popular as it was.
I
Like,
think it was a lot of people's first Final Fantasy, and that's
Yes.
why it's so popular.
but for me, who it was like, it was technically my third Final Fantasy at that point.
I've
in
never
time.
fucking played it.
I played 1 and 6 at that point in time, and having come from 6 to 7, yeah, it was a downgrade technically. Yes, the graphics were really nice, but like a lot of the story was just batshit, and always has been batshit. It's gotten
Yeah.
worse in Remake and Rebirth, apparently,
I've
to a
heard
degree.
that Remake and Rebirth are actually like really fun to play, though.
Oh, they're very fun to play, but like I'm just telling you, the overall arching story is very batshit.
I mean, Candace, you're talking to someone who has played 1,000 hours of Final Fantasy XIV, the game that is like, let's just take all of the batshit from these other games and incorporate it into our main story.
So, like, yeah. But, anyway, we have a board game with a lot of materials, characters. I'm trying to, like, look and see about it. It looks like a
All the
board
character-
card game.
It's a 4-player card game kind of thing.
Yeah. It's meant
And
to
I
be...
assume you're collecting material.
Because it's meant to be 1v1 or 2v2. That's
Yeah.
the way it's played. So, it's team-based, at least. Yeah. You have to collect the most materia using abilities of iconic characters. So I'm guessing the different cards have different abilities, and you use them
Assume they have different abilities.
grab things, you know, and combos and stuff like that.
Now, I recognize a handful of the characters on these cards, mostly because 3 of them are just recurring character names in the franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Barrett. I know the main 4. I guess there's a dog in Final Fantasy VII.
Red 13, yeah.
They
don't have-
Sephiroth, because everyone
Yeah.
knows who he is.
Since it's only Remake and not Rebirth, we are missing 4 of the actual main cast. They don't
Yeah.
have Yuffie, Cat
But Yuffie's there.
Oh, Yuffie's there?
Yuffie's there on the bottom.
Oh,
row.
she's at the bottom. Oh, that's because she's in the DLC.
She's in the
they did.
DLC for first remake.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. So they don't have Cat Sith or whatever.
I have no idea how to say that character.
Sid or Vincent. Which I guess I don't know. Like, again, they're going to do a third game in this entire thing.
The third game is supposedly going to come out in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
That's not terrible bad. 3 years. They could have. Well, the thing is, they have an engine in place. They have a lot of like models and stuff.
Yeah, they already have all the stuff.
Yeah. So I guess that makes sense that they don't have to spend as long. They've built a lot of stuff to work on. But anyway, if it's $45, which is a little expensive for a card game, but up to you. I'd say on that one.
I will say it is $45, and it probably has to ship from Japan.
Yeah, there's a lot of little components. There are some components to it, so up to you on that one. It's shipping in, and this is on edge for me that I would like
When
consider.
I bought the 14 tabletop RPG, it was like, I think it starts with $50, and I had to pay an additional $20 for international shipping.
So,
That's shipped from Japan to America.
anyway, God, this is an interesting topic for today because I don't want to get into like there's shit going on as of today in that region. So this is something I do want to bring up because there is definitely a humanitarian thing for this is in any kind of war.
Yeah.
So in this one,
and I looked into it a little bit more just because I was curious. So this company was started in 1989, I want to say. So this is before the war.
yeah. So
this crisis has been ongoing for a very long time.
It's just been a humanitarian crisis about going on because of a situation between Israel and Palestine. A very complex situation that we in the West forced upon this region by basically everything that happened after World War II.
Well, yeah.
Even before then, technically.
A little bit before that.
Look, I gotta say, like...
it's been a high conflict region for a long time.
Theoretically, if you want to get technical, you can blame it on a treaty that the British and French had to carve up the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
So it's been a very long time.
I think there's a lot more than just that, though.
Well, it's sort of like... It's the Middle East African region has so much problems going on, and it is because of a lot of old animosities, things that are going on in their own politics, and plus that combined with the colonization that happened because of Europe, and then, you know, us leading the way in a lot of decision making post World War I, post World War II. We had an influence on that. We're not probably as directly involved in certain places, but we had an influence there. So that's caused a lot of tensions, a lot of problems. Okay, it's a complex situation, but right now, certainly speaking, you know, things aren't going well for Palestine. Definitely.
Let's just focus
the Palestinian people.
Let's just focus though on the charity.
Yes.
So this is TTRPGs for Palestine, although the charity is the Palestine Children's Relief Fund.
Yes.
It's a charity group who basically helps, you know, give medical attention to children who need it. So, like, it's a very good charity. They've been going long before the war. It's just bring, you know, there's a lot of children who need help. So,
yeah,
especially right now, unfortunately.
And the thing is,
right now they need more, which is why there's a fundraiser helping it out.
And this is an interesting take on it because people need stuff to entertain. And honestly speaking, something like board games or TTRPGs are pretty good because if you worry about, you know, power for stuff, you don't have to worry about that for this. And, you know, this it's imagination.
List of RPGs in this bundle that you will get if you donate. So almost 200 RPGs.
Yeah, 188 if I remember correctly.
Yes, I'm looking at the document they have for it.
That's from memory from looking at it earlier. Yeah.
I've gone through Tiltify as well before. They're an incredibly reputable platform for charities.
Yes. Yeah. So honestly, it's a good cause. Like it doesn't actually contribute to either side in the war. It's just helps give humanitarian aid to those who need it.
You're looking for humanitarian aid for children.
Yeah, it's helping the children who are suffering right now.
Because regardless of what adults are doing, children suffer.
Yeah, and regardless of your opinion, it's, you know, children are
not suffer.
Yes.
Yes.
So, you know, we're all for here not having children suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a terrible joke about like Billy down the street because he's a jerk, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, no joke.
Billy's fine, all right.
Billy's fine. I don't actually know Billy.
I also do not know anyone named Billy.
I might have had a Billy in like a class years ago, but
I mean, my grandpa is named Bill, but that's the closest I got.
Anyway. Oh God, this was an hour and a half. There was a lot this week.
It was a big week of stuff.
It's sort of like it goes in waves. Some weeks there's so many little things to talk about that are very interesting. Why don't we just do our week in tabletop and then leave it there? As much as I would like to get a deeper discussion topic, we just have a big week this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, keep it simple. Anybody do anything last Saturday after the show?
I don't think I did anything there. I think I went to bed.
Sleep is good.
No, actually, I
was
think I played Elden Ring with Sel and Lindsay. I think that's
I was traveling.
You were traveling still, yeah. You had adventures in traveling. How about Sunday? I know you're still traveling. Where did you arrive at that point in time by Sunday?
We had arrived at that point, so Saturday was travel, Sunday and Monday we were there, and then Tuesday was travel.
Where did you go to see it?
Lima, Ohio.
Oh, I'm sorry you had to step foot in Ohio.
There are uses occasionally for Ohio.
Yeah, it was fine. What's funny is I went there just because like part of the reason I went there is because it was kind of one of the closer areas to like Tantus and stuff, and I was planning to visit him afterwards and go to Pennsylvania afterwards, but because of some things I had to come back sooner because my coworker was planning a vacation right after, so I had to come right back after the eclipse.
Unfortunate.
But I already started planning for that area, so I'm like, whatever, might as well just go there. And it worked out because apparently Texas, the place everyone else went, was super cloudy.
Yeah, anyone who went to Texas got like screwed.
Sorry, Texas. You got screwed.
That's what happens when you go to Texas.
Yeah. Anybody do anything on Sunday then?
We had a session of Lightning's game. We went to the big capital city to go and defame a horrible wizard who's making flesh monsters. And we collectively decided that we should probably remove the soul that's inside of our ring of mind shielding, and just put him in a body and see what happens. He says he's a powerful wizard. We found this ring on a dead world. What could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great plan.
So I've basically given the ring to Sel, and I'm like, do whatever you want with it. I don't care. I got my own problems. I gotta consider if I'm gonna eat this demon hand or not.
That's a statement. It's like,
Look, Lightning gave us a demon hand, and it says on the item description, if you eat it, something happens, and I really want to know what happens.
Curiosity of the demon hand. I like it.
Also, if you break a finger, it gives you the wish spell.
That's
We haven't used that yet, because I'm terrified of the wish spell.
The wish spell,
honestly,
is definitely terrifying.
That's justified. The wish spell is the most fun a GM can have to screw with you.
Yeah.
That's what I would define the wish spell as. And as a GM, it's very rare you get to screw with a player more than with a wish spell.
It's the fact that, like, when it comes to wish spells, like, I'm just like, it has this ability to just recreate a spell. I could just memorize it for that, because it just is there to do that. Like, some of the other, like, it just does these things, don't worry about it abilities. I just like using it for those or something, to keep it simple,
Yeah.
I've never used a wish spell in Pathfinder. Or in 5e, because I've never gotten to the level you can use it in 5e.
God.
I've used it in Pathfinder plenty of times.
I think I have used it indirectly a couple of times. I've used more Gate. Gate ended up being the one I've really used.
Yeah.
I've never used Wish because I've never played in a game with the power level that goes to Wish.
It's very rare to have a non-Pathfinder game that goes that high.
Yeah.
Especially 5e. 5e is not built for that high level.
I just...
It kind of falls apart at level 12.
Again, there are some things which I've read which are like really simple ways to make it not fall apart at those levels, but yeah, you have to put some work into it. You have to edit some things a bit. Mostly how you handle monsters.
Yeah, monsters get a little weird at that level and have just like way too much HP.
I mean, I can only say I used a 9th level spell Gate. Well, I technically didn't use it, but our team used it in the game to trick Dagon into showing up in the Far Realm to fight a Kraken sorcerer who was trying to become a god.
I've used plenty of level spells in Pathfinder because most adventure paths give you 9th level spells eventually.
I hope that Kraken sorcerer succeeded. I feel like sorcerers are...
didn't because an umbral blot showed up. And then the three of them tumbled into the Far Realm, and we met them later when they merged into some kind of super being. But it turns out he had one weakness, and that was what happens when you destabilize an umbral blot, which is basically an intelligent sphere of annihilation that was set in its chest? Well, it eats it. We destabilized the black hole in the center of it.
My favorite use of Wish was one that was very disappointing to the GM because he had built up this big, like, mega evil, undead villain man for this epic campaign, and I was like, I wish he was in the plane of positive energy.
God damn it. I've got trauma now. You've brought back trauma that I had for a game where I was doing a game where I was like, well, no one knows where the great evil is. And then some player was playing a character that had oracle abilities. And he's like, I might. And I'm like, fuck you. God damn it.
I mean, at that point, you read the wording very carefully as a GM.
There's not much you can do when a player wishes the villain somewhere else, because that is in this text block. You can do that.
There's some very silly things.
Yeah, I wish this man was somewhere else.
Wish. How about Monday? Did anybody do anything? Oh, we had
Rivers game.
We had a Rivers game on Monday. Yeah, we went to college some more.
And then got invited to a noble party that's been fucking terrible.
Look, I'm schmoozing with the nobles. That's
also,
all
we interrogated a man violently.
And
by we, I mean me.
I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, you went outside to go look at some architecture.
Look, I promised that man that I would. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I would rather nothing bad happens. I will leave the room and let whatever happens happens. There's some things outside I can see. If nothing bad happens, great. You could just tell people. If something bad happens, I don't want to know. I'm going away.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, I broke the man's ribs worse. I didn't actually do anything else to harm him. So I was gonna cut a lemon and then shove it into his eyeball, but he broke before I had to do that.
Yeah.
What condition do you get if you squirt lemon in someone's eye in Pathfinder?
He's still blinded. I assume it's a fortitude save against blind for 1 turn. That's how I do it.
I would be blind for 1 turn and then maybe dazzled for a couple of rounds because it's kind of like your eyes are dazzled. Yeah, right? Like where you can't really see very well.
For like 1d4. Yeah, probably blind for 1 turn, dazzled for 1d4.
It's like you're putting in the effort, so I might as well reward you for it.
Sorry, my brain went way off.
Like you're wasting your turn for something silly, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, my brain went way off the deep end there.
It's fine.
Yeah, look, I guess we're just at a noble party, and I guess we're gonna go steal something back.
No, okay.
Right?
The thing is, my character technically learned kobold torture techniques because I by sheer of everybody else in our team during playing the Tiamat adventure, tricked a bunch of kobolds into thinking I was a halfling tormentor for them. I didn't say anything. I just didn't. I went along with my team tricking people into this. So Perrin was known as a tormentor of kobolds. For kobolds.
My character is just part of the military at one point.
Anyway, Tuesday.
Tuesday was my game. You're in Spooky Town.
We are in Spooky Town, and we went to...
You met 2 freaks who joined your team. Big woman and then a changeling.
Yes, and we broke into these evil twins.
We broke into an evil castle, yeah.
And we met humanist lady who's transhumanist lady maybe who's evolving through science or something.
She's basically a Phyrexian.
Yeah.
She's also a vampire, and you failed to kill her when she's. I can use her in a different game.
You're welcome.
Turn her into a villain. And then you met a weird lady who was half spider.
Yeah, this place is really weird.
It's almost like the people are terrible. I'm gonna tell you, if you had actually let the doctor lady go, I was just gonna have her ambush you later in the dungeon.
So the thing is, I just kind of was like, look, I'm here for a job. You're not involved in that job. I don't have to worry about it. So everybody else making a decision was fine by me. Again, I'm doing my best to try to play
She,
true neutral. It's kind of hard.
Her stat block was very, very violent and rough, but she never got to use her main ability. If she, her main ability was first she poisons you, then she stuns you, and if you're stunned, she gets an attack that requires you to make a Constitution saving throw, or she deals 10d10 damage and steals your organs.
Ow! My organs! I needed those. That's kind of horrible.
Yeah, she was a terrible person.
I can see that.
Chaotic evil. And she's still alive, so I can use her in a different game.
Yeah.
Well, you've created a recurring villain.
Not my fault. I tried to blast her.
Technically is your fault, because if you had used
Sacred
the
Flame.
Radiant damage spell, it would
Yeah.
have killed her.
I didn't know she was a vampire. Look.
No one did.
I can't tell these things apart. It's like
Vampires bite people. She had a big metal tube she shoved in you to drink your blood.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we had Wednesday. We had the Crimson Queen. You
Did do things.
It was the thing is, it wasn't a bad session, but I feel like everybody in the entire team was low energy. You know?
I was very tired that night.
You were tired. Lynn was kind of tired. Lightning was tired. Worm, you were tired.
I was literally jet lagged. I had gotten in at 11 o'clock the previous
energy.
night and had to get up at 6:15 the next morning for work.
Yeah, it was a very, very low energy game. Then there was like an hour of planning that actually just killed my brain.
Yeah, I kept forgetting things. So I'm like, wait a second. They told us not to do that. I forgot about that.
So rough.
It was
Yeah.
fun. I was like, look, I understood. You know, we were in a weird spot brain-wise. And
Yeah, I
it
somehow had to
worked out.
like carry the conversation in the beginning with like, 6 hours of sleep and jet lag.
True.
I think you all did a decent job. It was just like, again, a low energy kind of session.
I still don't know what our fucking plan is. I still have no idea what the plan is for that.
So, yeah, I haven't. So, we're basically going to do the dig out rubble during the loud part where everyone's watching the game.
Yeah.
So dig out rubble of the staircase to get in that way.
Dope.
But I also mentioned that I'm going to do something before that, but we'll get into that. Just to do a little extra scouting.
Yes, you were going to do some extra scouting. Because, you have a wild shape.
Yeah.
And so, because you did some retraining during the downtime to change your archetype. And so,
Yeah.
with wild shape, you could sneak in there a little bit more and maybe get some more information. Kind of know where...
Yes.
That might be good to know where you're ending up a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. So.
I haven't took... I keep intent... I'll just remind me, like, to look at those rules. I've set them up, but I haven't, like, read into them. I think it's...
wild shape rules for the style shifter, because it edits the wild shape from the normal shifter, but then uses rules from the druid, and then totally explains them with completely different logic, and says it's this, but you do it this way. But then the way you originally do it doesn't actually match with the way the druid actually works, and I'm like, wait, so how long do I have? Because it's like a time, it's like, yeah, so. That archetype was not well thought out. In terms
there
of
are
its
a lot of
description.
archetypes that are not...
Yeah.
Well, okay, I should say that one ability for that one archetype was just really poorly thought out. There are some other archetypes in the shifter which are just bad, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, Titan Mauler. Titan Mauler is an awesome idea. Mechanically, it doesn't work, and you have to, like, edit it to make it work.
Yeah.
An interesting one. Anyway, so I think it was a decent session. You met with some nobility people, and then you made a couple of friends. A guy who was a wannabe Batman who you convinced not to be, and then
Yeah. Oh right, yeah.
and then,
Oh yeah, where did he end up? Because he led us to the guy's house. Did he just walk away after that?
No, he's hanging around you. He's still with you.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought he just left.
No, it's-
Okay, so we have an entourage now. Good to know.
Yeah, and then evil god lady who's totally pleasant.
I don't know. I have this feeling that Ada kind of just is like, I respect you for some reason.
She's, I believe, lawful evil, so she's not gonna betray you.
Yeah, she worships the BDSM god.
She does worship the BDSM god.
Fine. Kind of king shame.
It really is hilarious that she has like I think it appeared somewhere else, but in her stat block is a custom spell, and it's just like it just looks so silly. Anyway, anybody do anything on Thursday?
Nope.
Nope. Surviving.
Yeah. How about Friday?
Still surviving.
I didn't do anything Friday. Watched the Fallout show, but I don't need to talk about that here.
Yay, Fallout show. And I guess that leaves us to the end of the week, and it was a good week. All right. Whew.
Yeah. Sunday we were supposed to have Joe's game, but he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's been kind of feeling bad. Maybe I'll try to see him, hang out with him tonight or something.
It worked out. I ended up going out to dinner with my mom because I went to the Eclipse with my mom. When I was playing, I'm like, I'm going to be doing this thing in my hotel room with my friends. She was okay with it, but we ended up just going to dinner then. So it worked out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it's still going to be on the schedule because really, with looking after my grandmother, my dad goes every other week. So it's still going to be on that schedule, unfortunately. But, what can I do? She's officially reached 99 now. So, hey, 1 year away from the big 100. Anyway. Okay. I think that'll call it for today. We'll hopefully have a deeper discussion topic next week and be also a little quieter. I hope everybody's going to have a great rest of your weekend. Keep in mind that I will be off most of next week except for Crimson Queen and Discussing Tabletop. I'm taking the rest of the week off. I talked about this during the week to get some things done and stuff like that. So keep it in mind. Worm, do you have any shout-outs? I'll go for you first.
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter or DiamondWyrm on Blue Sky. I am going to be streaming tomorrow. It's 10:30 a.m. PDT. That'll be my next stream. I am officially back to streaming now after my week break. Mostly because of traveling. So yeah. Cool. I've been playing Hollow Knight. Come join.
Woo! And Momo, do you have anything to shout out then?
Not particularly.
Okay. Social media link below. Remember to check this if you're joining us live. Check it out on YouTube. If you're joining us on YouTube, check us out live. And then, yeah, I guess I'll be around on Discord and Twitter during the week. But other than that, I'm not around a lot on those. So I'll be up on my normal amount. You know, random thoughts, cat pictures, that kind of thing. I'll be back on Wednesday for Crimson Queen. So see us all then. And then YouTube uploads will continue. I let it get a little behind just to be able to pace out during the week a little bit more. So, you know. Anyway, hey everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great rest of your week. If you can't join us for anything, see you either Wednesday or next Saturday, 6 p.m. And, you know, for the next show. And until then, farewell, everybody.